Welcome to GCSE Maths Help. Today we're going to be looking at statistics exam paper questions. This video is a follow-on from my statistics key points video, which I will link in the bio below. If you haven't watched that video, you might find it useful before looking at exam questions. For everyone else, let's get started. So our first question says, here is some information about the number of books read by a group of people in 2014. One of the frequencies is missing. Midpoints are used to work out an estimate for the mean number of books read. The answer is 8.5. Work out the missing frequency. So I'm going to label our missing frequency as X. So we learnt in the key points video that in order to calculate the mean, you times the frequency by the midpoint and then add up all those values together and then divide by the frequency. So this time it's number of books. So if we do 16 times 2, that's 32. Then we have x times 7 is 7x. 20 times 12, which is 240. And 10 times 17, which is 170. So if we add those all up together, that gives us 442 plus 7x. So the calculation for working out the mean is 442 plus 7x divided by the total frequency, so that's 46 plus x, and we know that that's equal to 8.5. So we're going to do a little bit of rearranging here. We're going to times both sides by 46 plus x. So 442 plus 7x is equal to 8.5 times 46 plus x. So if we expand that out, we've got 442 plus 7x is equal to 391 plus 8.5x. So if we minus 391 from both sides and minus 7x from both sides, we're left with 51 is equal to 1.5x. So x is equal to 34, which is our missing frequency. So our next question says, here is some information about miles per gallon of 60 cars. Draw a cumulative frequency graph. So from the key points video, we know that we need to have a cumulative frequency column in our table, and that's the running total of the frequencies. So after the first range, we've had 6 cars. After the second range, we've had 22 cars because we add on the 16. After the third range, we've had 50 cars because we add on the 28. And of the last range, we have 60 cars, which is the total number of cars that took part. So to plot our graph, we're going to put the cumulative frequency numbers against the number that's the top of each of the ranges. So at 50 miles per gallon, our cumulative frequency is 6. At 60 miles, our cumulative frequency is 22. At 70, it's at 50. And at 80 miles, our cumulative frequency is 60. So to complete the graph, we need to draw a smooth curve that joins up the dots and ends at 60. So part B says, use the graph to work out the interquartile range, and the cumulative frequency numbers are going to help us do that. So if there were 60 cars in the data altogether, the first quarter is going to be the first 15 cars. So if we draw a line to the curve, and then down here to the miles, we can see the lower quartile one is going to be 56 miles per gallon. The upper quartile is going to be at 45, 3/4 of the way through the 60 cars. So if we draw a line up to the curve and then read the data at the bottom, so the upper quartile is going to be 68 miles per gallon. So the interquartile range is going to be 68 minus 56, which is 12 miles per gallon. So our next question says, here is some information about a tennis club. Complete the histogram. So looking at our histogram, the frequency density doesn't have any numbers on the scale. So that's the first thing we're going to do. So we know from the key points video that frequency density is equal to frequency divided by class width. So for our under 20s category, we've got 30 members divided by 20 as our class width. So that makes the frequency density for that group 1.5. So that's going to help us put in the scale. Under that will be 1, then we'll have 2, 3, 4 and 5 up at the top. So next we need to draw the last bar on the histogram. So our age range is from 65 to 80, so that's a class width of 15, and the frequency is 12. So 12 divided by 15 is 0.8. So for that age range, we've got 0.8 down to 80. So now our histogram's complete, we can go on to part B. Work out the total number of members of the club. So in our key points video, we talked about how on histograms, the bars represent the data. So the bigger the bar, the more data there is in that category. So we need to work out how many people these squares represent. So to do that, we're going to use the frequency density equation. So if we've got frequency density equals frequency divided by class width, if we rearrange that, the frequency, which is what we're trying to find, will be frequency density times class width. So in the first bar, we know that there's 30 people. We were told that in the question. The second bar, there's a frequency density of 4.5 times a class width of 10. So that's 45 people. The third bar, we've got a frequency density of 3.6, a class width of 10, so that must represent 36 people. The next category, we've got a frequency density of 2 and a class width of 25, so that must be 50 people. And then in the last category, we've got 12 people, we were told that. So all of that added together is 173 people. So our last question says, type A batteries and type B batteries were tested. The cumulative frequency diagram shows information about the battery life of type A. Estimate the interquartile range for type A. So we can see from our graph that the line ends when it gets to 80, so there must have been 80 batteries in the test. So to estimate the interquartile range, we need to go a quarter into the overall number. So that's going to be at 20. So if we draw a line up to the curve, and then we can take a reading from the bottom. So the lower quartile is 1,100 hours. The upper quartile is going to be 3/4 of the way into the batteries, so that's going to be at 60. So we'll draw a line up to the curve and then take a reading from the bottom. So the upper quartile is 1,400 hours. So the interquartile range is the difference between these two numbers. It's Q3 minus Q1. So the interquartile range for type A is 300 hours. I really hope you found this video helpful. If you would like to have a little recap on the key points on this topic, click the link in the bio below. Don't forget to subscribe to GCSE Maths Help with the subscribe button below, or you can check out my Instagram page at GCSE Maths Help for more videos and tips. Thanks for watching.